from Brooke, as far as you know, she kinda.
I didn't hear anything from her. I can try and text her if you want me to.
Just coming in.
Good evening, Brooke.
Do you wanna, what's the way behind you there? You guys have all signed? Okay. Thank you.
Someone else. There's a seat up there.
We roll around the other side.
What's that?
When we go against the other wall.
I don't know that we better do that.
Okay.
I want everybody to be able to get out if need be.
I'm so fast, you know.
Yeah.
You think everybody, we have everybody present here? I'm a little faster than that.
I'm at 6:59. I just turned to 7, Andy.
Okay, well, to begin with, tonight, our Grant Gear's heart will arise and Grant will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, we'll call the meeting to order of the West Bend City Council, February 23rd, 2026. And I'll just make a quick comment. We obviously have a gathering here this evening, and I'll make a quick note. We will not take a lot of public comments. You know, Blake may have a few things that he may talk about as we discuss particularly the lagoon situation. As everybody knows, that's an ongoing process. It's going a day at a time, step at a time. So with that, we'll have roll call of the city council.
Fontaine,
Present.
Gearhart,
Here.
Tilges,
Here.
Winklehorst, Banwart,
Here.
all present.
And then we will have the approval of the agenda.
Second.
Linda,
No, Joe.
Brooke, and Joe. Okay, Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brooke,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
It's approved. Now we need the approval of the minutes. From last
So moved.
Second.
Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brooke, Blake,
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
That's approved. And at number 5, we have a resolution providing for a notice of hearing on the City of West Bend proposal property tax levy for fiscal year July 1, 2026 to June 30, 2027.
So moved. Second.
And Linda. So Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brooke,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
and Grant.
Yes.
And that's approved. Okay, the resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of West Bend, Iowa, approving administrative services agreement for split funded plan.
Move we approve.
Second.
Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brooke,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
and that's approved. Okay, then we have the amendment number 7 to general engineering services agreement with ISG Incorporated. You have some comments on that?
Yeah, I think, the amendments in everybody's packets, I believe, so, this would be, what we discussed, I think, a month ago when we were here. Your previous 2-year agreement with us for general engineering services expires or would be auto-renewed unless, you choose not to on February 26th. So this amendment would renew that or extend it, I guess, for another 2 years. And it also requests to change the rate from $85 an hour to $90 an hour. Everything else within there is the same as far as what general engineering services are. It's just engineering consultation and advice for pre-design support, help with opinions of cost, other general engineering services that, that you might need. But anytime you have a project, you're obviously still able to go out for competitive qualifications, proposals, anything like that that you want. So,
Right.
Any questions?
I move we renew at the stated rate of $90 an hour.
I'll second. Sorry, Green.
Sorry.
Joe and Linda. So Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brooke,
Yes.
Blake,
I don't totally agree, but we can discuss things later. I'm gonna vote no.
and Grant.
Yes.
It's 40 yeas, 1 nay. Okay. Okay, number 8 is wastewater treatment facility improvements with Veenstra and Kim. We have a couple gentlemen that are gonna speak to us tonight.
Sure, I'll go first. My name's Doug DeBolt, with Veenstra and Kim, and, wanted to talk a little bit about your wastewater, your treatment plant, something we do all the time. We offer value engineering. We, you know, the ISG folks, they're a good firm. We compete against them a lot. And then with us, we look at systems all around the state, and like I said, we do value engineering. We look at projects. Other firms do it with us as well, with the cities that we work for. Look at the system that we're proposing, goes to the DNR, comes back to us. Sometimes there's different ways to do things. The objective is to get the most for the least, the cost for the city, by possibly looking at a different system, different scenarios, pushing things down the road, just basically a cost savings. Doesn't always work out, but I think it's always good to get two sets of eyes or more on a project, especially when you're looking at something out in front of you, the magnitude that you are. So I'm not going to get into a lot of who we are and what we do, but just very briefly, I didn't think this was the time to bring a whole bunch of literature about who we are, but just you can pass that around. Some of the services that we provide. We're a full-service engineering company. Been in business for 65 years. So we have the full civil, structural, mechanical, electrical, environmental architects, landscape architects, all in-house. And pretty much our niche is working for small communities. The communities that basically have a pile of projects this big and a pile of money this big, and help finding funding for them, looking for cheaper ways to do things. So that's the purpose, that's what we're here for tonight, is maybe give some discussion to the system that you have and maybe some suggestions going forward. Again, this is not we do this all over the state. We're looking at this project, and like I said, we have other firms, not ISG, I mean, there's a whole slew of us out there that do it with our projects too, and it's sometimes it works out, but anyway, just also have Ben here, and I think he's going to talk a little bit more about the system that you have, and maybe some alternatives, some things to look at, ideas to consider, and I guess the overall objective is to save the city money. So.
Yeah. Sorry, I've just got a brick of a laptop, so I'd like to stay sitting so I can take a look at that. But I'm Ben Klaus, B&K. Thank you very much for the invite tonight. We appreciate that. I think the first thing that I want to talk about is just how we even came into the picture at all, how we got connected over here. B&K, we were working on a project over in Melbourne, kind of right center of the state. They went from an aerated lagoon. They're having issues with ammonia. And before I started at B&K, there was a facility plan that was written, looked at alternatives, and the alternative that was ultimately decided on was going backwards in technology and going back to just a controlled discharge. So we finished up just recently the design on a 4-cell controlled discharge for them. They used to have a 3-cell, and they went to aerated, now they're going back to controlled discharge. So I was working on that project, and then I got a call from the Iowa Rural Water Association, from a guy who works with them, and he asked if he could pass my information along to, who I found out eventually was Kent, saying that there was a kind of a similar situation here where had a controlled discharge lagoon, not meeting limits, and the gentleman from the Rural Water Association, he really appreciates lagoons and really appreciates the simple technology behind them. So that's how I got put in touch with Kent, and then Kent eventually, I had spoken with Blake a little bit, and ultimately, kind of with all of this is the concerns of construction costs, ongoing O&M costs, and the operator change with a higher tech system. What we would do if we came in on the ground floor, look at the MOR data, look at what the DNR has issues with. In your case, with the compliance schedule would be E. coli, ammonia, and chlorides, as I understand it, is what's going on. So take a look at that, review the existing capacity of the lagoons, how much water is coming in, how often do you have to decant, are you having out-of-season discharges? That's a problem that some communities have, and that would indicate you'd have an I&I issue. So a lot of stormwater getting into the lagoons. But again, as I understand it, that's not the concern here. So then we take a look at the waste load allocation, the NPDES permit rationale, and there'd be a little bit of communication in that from DNR. Again, in your case, E. coli, ammonia, chlorides. So what the DNR was indicating with E. coli is that their comment here was, quote, a reasonable potential to violate the geometric mean limit, which I think just means, there's a chance that your discharges will exceed on E. coli. Ammonia, the comment that I saw in that rationale that I thought was interesting was that their comment was, the facility appears to be able to consistently comply with ammonia limits, which I think is good news. And then the chlorides is outside the scope of the wastewater project. Not really anything you can do about chlorides at a wastewater plant. So after take a look at what's going on with the things coming in, how's the lagoon performing, want to confirm the operation of the lagoon, see if the 3 cells are operating as they should. And again, this could kind of go back to, are you having out-of-season discharges? Really just how is the lagoon being operated? So in this case, it appears that your valves are rusted open and not really getting any isolation. You weren't able to really control anything, and you're just having some direct pass-through of the wastewater directly through all the cells. So with that compliance schedule, DNR requires you to have a plan of action. How are you going to resolve these things to get your wastewater system into compliance? And so looking at the rationale, saying, well, the DNR thinks that this system could work. Looks like there's just some O&M things we can fix in the lagoons. Get those fixed, let DNR know that's what we'd like to try, and then try and do some discharges. Let the lagoons accumulate a couple times a year, see what the samples look like, and evaluate from there. And then if it shakes out that things just are not working, move on to a bigger design. But as we understand it, a properly sized controlled discharge lagoon will meet your ammonia and your E. coli limits. So just a few acknowledgements too is that ISG has a lot more information than we do. I've seen a couple of years worth of discharge data, and I imagine they've seen 10 to 15 years plus, and so they have a good history of that discharge information. And if they've already identified why they don't think that a controlled discharge lagoon would work, then I can't speak to why that would be. If they've got that information, then that's the basis of their design. But from one thing that we saw, the facility plans seemed to indicate that you had an aerated lagoon, which we agree aerated lagoons cannot meet ammonia limits in cold weather. That goes back to the Melbourne example. they couldn't meet their ammonia limits. They had an area lagoon, couldn't meet the ammonia limits. In the wintertime, the bugs that consume that are just not active. And so if that is so that's the basis for wanting to go a mechanical plant, I just think that would be worth confirming, that we know, it's a controlled discharge, not an aerated. But ultimately, this decision is the city's, it's the council's, and really how best do you think to serve the wastewater facility now and then for the 20-year or more design life of the system. Those are the points that I wanted to bring up right now. Anything else you want to add, Doug?
So I'm curious, so what we're saying is, what did the facility plan highlights one system, and you're saying, the point that you were making is that it's a different system?
At least one draft that we saw seemed to indicate that the facility plan to DNR was indicating that there was an aerated lagoon which cannot meet ammonia limits in cold weather, but that is not the system that West Bend has. It's a controlled discharge, and so that's just a different process that from what we've seen, and then with the 3 or 4 communities that we've done here recently, either at D&K or at my previous firm, that we've installed either new controlled discharge lagoon or expanded their existing controlled discharge system.
That is a typo on page 8 of the anti-DAG, but page 1 of the anti-DAG says controlled discharge lagoon, facility plan also says controlled discharge lagoon, so if that's something that the city would like for us to put in an amendment for, we can, but we acknowledge multiple times that it's a controlled discharge lagoon.
Perfect. But if there's any questions for us on any thoughts, just expand on anything.
There's a lot of talk of, well, how do other cities do it? And a lot of the people I'm looking at here were at the informational meeting that we both put on at the club. And, how do other cities do it? How do we compare? Do you have the capability to do a design capability of what ours can handle in comparison to other cities? And we've talked about Bancroft and some of the things that have gone on in other cities. Can you do a comparison as to what we're putting in our lagoon compared to other cities in proportion to the size of our lagoon?
Sure.
And then to be run as a true 3-cell lagoon, which it has not done for 25 years.
Right. We can certainly take a look at the influent data, and compare that against the DNR standards for controlled discharge lagoons, for VOD and ammonia loading. And we could absolutely run that for this system, could compare it to other systems, could compare the treatment rates that we see at other controlled discharge lagoons versus the historic effluent discharges here.
I guess I have a question for you. So Bancroft has been brought up, and was brought up at their meeting they had. Are they consistently meeting their limits?
Yeah, as far as I know, yes. I have 2 data points from them from 2024, a summer discharge and then a winter discharge. And the ammonia met on all those, in the summertime was actually a little higher, which is interesting.
I believe they're currently under compliance schedule, similar to ours.
Yes. They would be, because we did the design on that, expanding their existing controlled discharge.
August of 25, they went under a compliance schedule. So will you be redesigning their lagoons again, or?
I guess I'm not familiar with that. When I asked our lead designer in Mason City, Jason Petersburg, his impression was everything was going well on that, but if they're having issues,
Well,
then we'll have to take a
that's
look
the
at it.
information I got.
Okay. I haven't heard anything about a compliance
That they're under
schedule.
compliance schedule, and they, so that would tell me that maybe maybe their 3-cell lagoon isn't working quite up to what
Right.
it's been presented, you know, so.
Yeah, well, I certainly could look into that.
So what would you propose for them, to make a bigger lagoon then again, or
I think
what do you think?
it would just depend on what's happening. If it's just not enough treatment, yeah, then it would sound like it's just not enough volume.
You know what
we'd
it
have
cost
to
them
look
when
at
they expanded that 5 years ago? $2 million?
Probably a couple million. Maybe, yeah, I would say 1 to 2.
If you did that
probably.
today, it'd probably be before, that was prior to, COVID, when they did that.
I wouldn't expect that. Our estimate in Melbourne is that's probably going to be 2 to 3 million, 2 to 2.5 million is what we're expecting.
I've been to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Large city, got
Yeah.
3 businesses.
Yep. Bustling town. Yeah.
Yeah, not much there.
Yep.
So not a very, if you're gonna compare it, not a very good comparison, I would say, with our
Then again,
flow.
as I mentioned, comparing towns, you have to take into consideration the size of their lagoon, how it's being run in proportion to their industry. Which brings us to butter braids and scopelands. We've talked about this a lot, and just here in the last couple of weeks, I talked to Butter Braid today for an hour, and yeah, they're pretty excited about information and what they can do there to help out the situation. Not only to get them down to where they're almost a residential, and yes, they'll have to fork out X amount of dollars, and they will have to learn how to run basically a lagoon system. But then what they discharge into our lagoon will drastically reduce their numbers to where they are willing to spend money to do this so that they're not assessed whatever that dollar might be in the 7 million. And same way with Scoblin's, only on a lot smaller scale. But we're meeting with Scoblin's and Butter Braid coming up. And then an informational meeting from ISG on March 18th. But, so we're doing some things. I mean, this is what's coming up. But right now, we're doing some things, working with Butter Braid, Scoblin's, the city guys with the valves, and the city council with cooperation, and the DNR with knowing exactly what we're doing. With all that in mind, where do we stand? If this all takes place as is, and which we're now working on, and run our lagoon the way it's capable of, take a discharge in 6 months, in a year and a half, and see where we're at. Do you see that working?
The way it's been communicated to us from DNR, from Larry Bryant at DNR, he's a big fan of controlled discharge lagoons, is that if your lagoon is appropriately sized, hydraulically and by surface area, then they should have no problems meeting the discharge limits. That's been our understanding from them, and as long as you've got that size correctly. But as far as specifically industries, I don't think I can speak much to that. I just don't know what you guys have coming in for the BOD loading.
And that, right, BOD and all the other numbers there that apply are gonna be taken care of and addressed with Scoblin's and Butter Braid.
Very good. Any other questions?
For the record, off the record, Ben came here and without pay, he's not getting paid anything, he came and gave information.
Sure.
ISG obviously gets a paycheck. Kent Wolf has done a tremendous amount of work for all of this, and more information here than I care to acknowledge. And, we're getting by with only paying him a lump sum of $100,000. Okay, that was a joke. Nobody's gonna. And Mr. Wolf is getting paid $0. And if he's still when he's still working on this a year from now, a few years from now, he will still be getting paid $0, for the record. I guess that's all I got.
Well, just for the record, we've been working on it for 7 years as a city council, and we get paid $25 a meeting, so, just for the record. Yeah.
I guess I have a question. Is it a possibility that you guys could look at the research that has been either done by ISG or provided to ISG and give us an actual thought of, is this a possibility for our community or not? If we would have you do that, is there a contract and fee involved?
That is something absolutely we could do. Yeah, it would make things easier if everything was already, aggregated in reports from ISG.
I mean, I'm assuming you're not going to do all of that work.
No,
I
I don't think we would do that pro bono. I think that would be, that would be some kind of small agreement. I don't have a dollar amount in mind. Do you, anything in guess? I know I have, anything I'd say would be a guess, anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 would be my estimate.
I think Brooke brought it up a meeting or two ago, that could we get the DNR to commit to something in writing that we would have to sign off on as to where we're at, how this looks to them, and give us a very honest opinion of where we're at, with the DNR.
As far as the compliance schedule?
Yes.
Or, it'd be a question for the field office. I think there's been some previous discussion that has said that maybe they're not interested in doing extensions.
We've
not
had
sure.
one extension.
Okay. I know that when we've worked with DNR, what people have told me is they usually seem pretty flexible. They usually seem pretty happy to want to help move systems along. I also understand, to your point, it's been 7 years or more.
Yeah.
So I also understand that factors into their decision as well.
Anything else, Blake, or you
I think we're good.
So I would just conclude by saying, so what we're looking at is doing, again, as I stated previously, a value engineering, taking another look at it.
Sure.
Very clearly stating, I'm not saying that ISG did anything wrong, and I want to make that clear. But a project like this, the cost, your future costs, I think it warrants another set of eyes and just possibly proposing some alternatives. So.
Sure.
Ultimately, it's just a concern, it's just cost. Cost with the wastewater project, cost with the potential water project to deal with the chlorides. So,
Absolutely.
well, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be in touch.
And now the man I don't think he ever.
Thank you.
Let's run the policy rules.
Yeah, let's walk over our insurance with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it my turn? One fun
It's your
topic.
turn.
Sorry, guys.
Number 9, you're number 9.
I am Bridget Galligan with PNC Advantage. So you guys know you have an insurance renewal coming up on April 1st. We do have a couple different things this year than we've had in the past. So Lisa and I have been going over some stuff and making some changes to policies. We wanted to run the papers by you guys also. Your Your top page is your 5-year comparison, so this year we do have 2 columns, just the original renewal quote that we got, and Lisa and I worked through some things just to make corrections to the policy. So the revised renewal quote is all the way to the right. So it's a 5.1% increase over last year's premium. One of the things that we discussed was increasing the auto deductibles. Right now we have several vehicles at 1,000 deductibles, several at 2,000, just going to straight 2,000 on all of those. So that is included in this very right column. That saves you $1,423, that's 7% on the auto premium alone. So that is the only like blanket coverage change that we made. Other ones were just corrections. The second page of the packet on the second is for violent event coverage. So this is new with EMC this year. There are things that are covered on this endorsement. The second page of this is by population what they're charging for these coverages. So some of the things that they list here, if there was to be a violent event in your community, there would be some medical expense coverage, funeral expenses, wages for temporary staff, security services, a list of benefits here. On the back page is just what for your population would just be the first row. So 100,000 in coverage is $40 for the year. Up to the $1 million limit is $220 for the year. So that is a coverage that's available to you if you are interested. The next packet is an equipment breakdown. This is a coverage to go over your commercial output policy. So your current EMC policy has equipment breakdown. It has an exclusion specifically for your commercial output. So any power generating equipment is not covered by EMC. And from what I can tell, you have not had an equipment breakdown policy in the past. So EMC originally came out, IMU has this is a master policy that you guys would be named insured on. They were working with Cincinnati for this program in the past. Cincinnati backed out, so they've been working with several carriers to get a new master policy put into place. CNA is who they are going with for that. When they started this process last year, EMC said that they were gonna come out and have all utilities that have power generating equipment have a requirement to have this policy. They have dialed that back this year. They are not making it a requirement. But we were already down the path of getting a quote for you guys, so this is the quote. It's $10,000 for the year. So the limit per breakdown is listed on here at 200 million. Since this is a master policy, that's the max in any event for any participating community. Your limit is not 200,000. You have 22.2 million on your commercial output, so that would be the max. That of course includes your building also, so you're not gonna have equipment breakdown over that anyway. So that is a 4-1 agreement if you did want to take that coverage. There's 6 pages of policy verbiage in here. We don't need to go over all of it, but if you guys have questions, I will sure help you with those. The last page is some actual examples of what municipalities have seen for this type of claim. So these equipment breakdown, like the first one listed is an explosion in an engine that threw a rod resulting in a fire. So Travelers was a property carrier and paid for the property portion, but the equipment breakdown paid $128,000. A bearing failure in a generator causing winding damage, generator and replacement was $264,000. So, I mean, it's a real exposure that you guys right now don't have coverage for. They did agree if the program itself stays under a 35% loss ratio, they would match the same premiums for the 27 to 28 term for us. But, so for this year, their quote for City of West Bend is $10,000. You guys have any specific questions on the equipment breakdown portion?
And that's just a lump sum, 10,000 is the
10,000.
premium?
Yep. So that the other thing that this provides is replacement cost for the equipment regardless of age, which is a benefit to you guys since you do have some older generator, is my understanding. It's not a wear and tear coverage though, so if I pick up one just needing to be replaced. I did ask our contact at Juster for how many utilities are choosing this coverage, and they're at 70%. so most of them are opting for the coverage. A lot of them have had this coverage in the past, it's just with the change, it brought up the conversation again.
Say that's full replacement cost.
So the deductible for anything that's power generating would be $100,000 as long as it's under 20,000 kVA. And I think you guys probably have anything that's over the. Okay. If you're over the 20,000 kVA, it's $5 per, but I think you're probably under that, the size of the equipment that you have. So if it was anything power generating, it would be $100,000 deductible. Right now, you do have 100% deductible, so. It is a bigger deductible, but by design, to keep the cost and the premium down.
Is that added in this quote?
No, so this EMC, what we have on this comparison is just what you've had in the past for the comparisons, and that's just the package policy with EMC.
Do you need to know on that generation stuff tonight?
We actually just have to have a bind request back to Joster by the 27th of March, so we got a month. Yep.
I wouldn't mind having that discussion when I go to NIMACA next week or whenever,
Yep.
or Energy Group.
Yeah, absolutely.
See how many guys, I know quite a few of them have, but I'd like to kind of run it by them, get some pros and cons.
Absolutely, yep, we got a whole month on that.
This workplace violence is not included in this?
I didn't put any of, no, that's not, but it does go with the EMC, so when we bind the coverage for the people first renewal, we would tell them that we do or do not want that endorsement.
I think we're bringing it $200 a year.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's kind of a timely coverage, I think, with everything, yeah. Yeah. You know what limit you would want?
For $200, I think we would do $1,000. Do you need a motion for that, Lisa, that we add the?
We will when we, approve the renewal here.
Okay,
We'll make that part of the motion.
sounds good.
So you guys were thinking the million, is that what everybody's
Yeah.
thoughts are?
Yeah, it's $220 a year for $1 million worth of
Okay.
island bonds.
I guess something too I should add is Lisa and I are continuing to work on the values of the generators and making sure that our commercial output policy has enough coverage on there. So that is one thing that will just need to be done by endorsement. We won't be able to catch setting in renewal bind request, but we can get that done. Effective April 1st, it would just be by endorsement.
And that's some information that I'd like to go over with, Greg at NIMACA. Just cause I know he'll have a better feel for those values.
Yeah. Greg and I were talking about meeting with him sometime here the next week or two on.
Oh, that,
So
is he coming here, do you
we
think?
can probably get him to run out, yeah.
That would be good.
Then we could go over it with him and
Mhm.
maybe he'd have some input on this too.
Yeah, that'd be good.
He has a pretty good understanding of that stuff, you know, so.
Do you think that would be in the next couple weeks?
Yes.
And if we're gonna do that by endorsement, that's fine anytime by April 1st.
So March, our last meeting in March is the 23rd. So I would hope that maybe we could have a decision by then. Would you all feel comfortable with that?
I think so.
Yeah.
And so, do you wanna tell them about how the billing is gonna work now that's a little different?
So EMC is changing all of their policies from agency bill to direct bill. So with agency bill, we pay the bill and then we turn around and we bill you as the agency. So that gives some leniency on when you need to pay your bill. So for this first term, the EMC is going to be more lenient too, but you're gonna get the invoice directly from EMC and they'll have a due date on it. This year, I think they're going to allow us to say, we're not able to get that done by 4/1, we need 4/15. Next year is probably gonna be 4/1.
So you need a motion on this tonight then, what we're gonna do for sure?
So, do we wanna wait and get our information together first, and then, is that okay with you, Bridget, or how do you wanna
So
handle this?
EMC does want changes in, so like just the ones that we've discussed with like correcting the address on a certain couple of things and breaking out some of those equipment pieces, they want that by the 27th of this month.
Okay, so we can make motions to make those changes, and then as far as the renewal of the whole policy, then we could wait and do that on March 23rd, is that right? Or how do you?
So it's
do you
all
want us-
one bind request for the renewal. That's not saying that you can't make additional changes, it's just telling them that you
So we
want
would
coverage
just
again
pay a
this year.
separate invoice for those
Yeah,
probably,
yep,
if we
for any
make
endorsements
changes.
we make.
Okay,
Yes, we're just basically telling them this month that you do want coverage effective April 1st, so if you're okay with that, and what Lisa and I have made a few little changes too, that's what this comparison is, and then you guys have time to discuss the equipment breakdown and, the COP limits.
okay, so if you guys wanna make a motion and a second to renew the policy, and we have changed the, auto deductibles to all be $2,000. Another change would be the addition of the workplace violence, which is an additional premium cost of $220 for the $1 million coverage. And then we will look to see what you wanna do with the equipment breakdown policy at a later date. Does that sound right?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Brooke,
Second.
Brian. Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
that's approved.
Thank you for coming.
Perfect,
Very
thank
good.
you, you guys let me know if you have other questions.
Thank you.
All right, and number 10 is, Gas Public Works Operations Report.
And Trevor is here, so if he wants
Trevor's
to,
here.
Should have brought a copy of that.
here you go, Trevor.
So we went through our, gas OQ with Rod from IMU. We have to do that every year he comes, and we have to go through every single one that we have to renew on and answer questions with him. Move snow, we had a safety meeting with Edith from IMU. I got my one core spray test done. We had I think we had two meetings with ISG, and one of them was with the DNR. We read the meters around town. We had an ISG drinking water training webinar. Did our drinking water and wastewater MOR reports for the month. I've been working on doing a gas estimate for relocating the West Bend Mallards gas down there where they're planning to add on. So I've been working with their architects a little bit. Cleaning the shop, checking our gas odorant every month since we got that new odorizer. Tier 2 report, sharpened some chainsaw blades. It's nice enough we're out to sweep the streets, which is very odd, but I wish we could continue to the tough snow, so. And then along with those original gas OQs, we have, I think Jeremy had 42 tests he had to do, and I had like 25, so they're pretty fun. And then we had another wastewater training with the ISG webinar, so, yeah.
What are you gonna do with our dip down there?
I'm hoping the ducks we can fill the bridge and the ducks can go back and forth to Worthy's place.
That's a dip, ain't it?
We had blacktop stop. They're gonna
No.
remill that out and then add some more back.
Okay.
I don't know why it's
Warranty.
so bad there.
They're doing it for warranty.
Yeah.
We don't
Oh,
have to
really?
pay for it.
Yeah, they're gonna fix that up. So,
Same
and then
with the
there's,
spot
quite a
down by
dip.
school.
there's another spot on, Second down by school that it's really buckling by the curb, so they're gonna fix that up too, so. Those are the two spots I saw so far. Hopefully, knock on wood, we don't have too many, frosties around town.
Did they put the two valves in, or they not
No,
in here yet?
so, they had a few things pop up. They're supposed to be here Wednesday, Thursday. They said they will be done Friday. So hopefully, everything goes accordingly.
Lisa, can you let us know if they're done?
Sure.
That'd be great, thank you.
All right, thank you, Trevor.
And Jeremy.
Yes. Any committee representative updates?
I have not been anywhere, I'm at economic development meeting tomorrow in Algona, but no other community meetings. Or
Okay.
committee meetings that I'm on.
I had 3. I went to the assessor meeting for Andy when he was gone, and the budget hearing is March 10th on that, made some changes. And then went to the Cassuth Waste Management Annual Meeting and Northwest Housing. I got my quota of meetings in.
There you go. And in the past month, I was over in Algona for the 911 EMA meeting, and then the same thing in Palo Alto.
I went down to the IAMU meeting, and Craig and I and Greg Fritz from NYMECA, we did a presentation on COPEG. There's some communities that are talking about forming a group like what we did, and so we did a little presentation at that, and that's about all I had, I think.
All right, council report.
Okay, you received copy of the library board meeting minutes from January 8th. Also minutes from the COPEG committee meeting from January 13th. There's a copy of the engineer's report. ISG reported and gives updates on the progress that's being made with the different projects that they've worked on for us here. The yard waste and spring cleanup schedule is included in your packets. And then Palo Alto County grant award celebration. So right now, Linda, are you the only one that's planning to go from the council, or is anyone else?
Evan and I are going, but I think he signed us up on the fire department.
Okay, so you're taken care of,
I think
but
so.
you would be
But I'll
available
be
to
there,
go
yes.
up. Okay, all right, so Linda, I will RSVP
Okay,
for
thank
you,
you.
and I will plan to go as well.
And do we need to talk to anyone from the community center to go with at all?
I have a meeting on Thursday evening, so
Okay,
I
so
will
you-
mention it to them. Yep. That's all I have, Andy.
Okay, and then, any other business?
Well, I'd like to address the issue of sump pumps and footing tiles. At the informational meeting at club, it was mentioned that maybe it was good to have that going into our sanitary. That may all be all right, as long as it don't end up in your basement. So if somebody wants some of that, next time it rains heavy, I'll bring you some out of my basement. That's a critical thing, and the code says we shouldn't have footing tiles or sump pumps going into the sanitary. And there's a lot of them that are, and you know, if you're the guy that's getting that in your basement, it's not a very nice thing, let me tell you. And the sump pump will pump a lot of water when you get the heavy rains. When it rains heavy like that, I've got an inside sump that's on the inside of my footing, and I've got an outside sump that I put in, and they'll both run steady for days. And that's a lot of water. You know, if you got 100 of them going in there or more, the system won't handle that. So I think there was a little misinformation there, and, I would discourage that, and, I know we're planning on doing some inspections, aren't you? So,
Would the
Yeah,
council,
coming.
would the council like, a little informational